proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "As the Father loves me, so I also love you. Remain in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and your joy might be complete. This is my commandment: love one another as I love you. No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. I no longer call you slaves, because a slave does not know what his master is doing. I have called you friends, because I have told you everything I have heard from my Father. It was not you who chose me, but I who chose you, and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give you. This I command you: love one another." The Gospel of the Lord.
Our Gospel for today, the 6th Sunday of Easter, comes from the 15th chapter of St. John. We have been reflecting on the love of God manifested to us in the risen Lord, in Jesus Christ. And now in the Gospel, it is not just a manifestation of the love of God, the reality of love learned from Jesus Christ. This becomes our mission too. Now, in the Gospel, we are brought back to the farewell address of Jesus in the Last Supper. Now, you might ask me, why do we go back to the Last Supper? Why this farewell discourse again of Jesus? Well, my dear brothers and sisters, next week we will be celebrating the solemnity of the Ascension. So this is a preview. So we are brought back to this farewell, this goodbye discourse of Jesus, not in order to go back to the Last Supper, but to go to the heart of Christ. Now that he is saying goodbye again, no, for a different reason, to return to the Father, what are his, in a way, his legacy and his last teachings to us, no, before he goes? And there is only one: love. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Wow. The root of it all is the love of the Father. Jesus experiences the love of the Father. And as the Father has loved him, he loves us. Let us contemplate this. The love of the Father flows to us from and through the heart of Christ. The heart of Christ is the vessel of the love of the Father. And that love of the Father reaches us through the heart of Christ. Thanks to the heart of Jesus, it becomes for us the vessel of the love of the Father. But how has the heart of Christ become that vessel of the love of the Father? He says, I remain in the love of the Father. So, it is his fidelity to the Father that makes his heart truly the container, the repository of the love of the Father. And this is logical. If the heart of Christ is separated from the Father, how could that heart contain the love of the Father? But if we want to ask Jesus, okay, but how does your heart remain in the Father? He says, by my obedience to the commandment of the Father. And what is the commandment of the Father? Love. Love. So, Jesus' heart remains in the Father by being a loving heart. And the heart of Jesus is able to love other people by the love of the Father poured into His heart. Oh my! The love of the Father enters the heart of Jesus, and it is the same love of the Father in which He remains that Jesus shows to others when He loves them. So again, as we said in the second reading, the love of God has a face, Jesus. We touch the heart of Jesus. And as we touch the heart of Jesus, we touch the love, the heart of the Father. Now for us, the love of Jesus is the model. For He will say, love one another as I have loved you. So the love of the Father in Jesus becomes for us a mission. Experiencing the love of Jesus, we should not stop there. After experiencing the love of the Father poured into us by the heart of Jesus, we now should love one another. Mind you, Jesus did not say, love one another and invent your ways of loving one another. You know, the world is so inventive. Many people concoct their own formulae for loving. But for us, there's only one way of loving, Jesus' way. So we ask Jesus, okay, how did you love us? How did you manifest to us the love of the Father so that we can love others the way you love us and the way the Father loves you? There are many indications in the Gospel. The first is, He says, I chose you. You did not choose me. So this is a refrain of the second reading. Jesus' love for us is a grace. It comes from His initiative. It is not something that we earned. This is gratuitous love. We love simply because Jesus chose us. So, we should love neighbors not because they are good to us, not because of the benefit that we could get from them, but simply because they need to be loved. That's how Jesus loved. This is difficult because our way of loving is, you must deserve my love. But in Jesus' way of loving, it's not that. I just chose you, not because you chose me. The second is, Jesus says, I call you friends. This is the way He loves us. And how did we become His friends? He shares with us the deep secrets of the Father. So the intimate relationship between the Father and Son is now shared by Jesus with us. So this is friendship. So do not develop loving friendships with other people by just sharing gifts or coffee time or giving them roses or candies. To be a friend like Jesus to others, share the Father. Share your spiritual insights. Share your spirituality. That is the mark of Jesus' love for us. And finally, Jesus, after calling us His friends, says, this is the greatest love of all. You lay down your life for your friends. It is not enough to share my deepest secrets of the Father to my friends. I should be willing to die for my friends because Jesus did that. He laid down His life for us because we are His friends. But you see, you say, this is difficult. Oh yes, it is difficult. But it is not our loving that we will use. It is the love of the Father that is in the heart of Jesus and now being given to us. And so in the end, yes, we should love one another, but it is the very love of God that we will give to one another. But we should be open to the love of God, the way Cornelius in the first reading was open to the love of God. Let us not block the love of God that is being poured into our hearts from the heart of Christ. As we open ourselves to God's love, we will give that love, not our love, but the love of Christ to others. Let me end this with, again, a sharing, a story. I had an encounter with a non-Catholic who told me that he has seen me a number of times in some conferences and also on TV, thanks to the Word Exposed. And when he had the opportunity to see me in person, he was delighted. I'm telling you this not because I'm bragging about myself. I was really humbled. He said, Bishop, even if I'm not a Catholic, I could sense that when someone is sincere in sharing the Word of God, even those who do not share his faith could be touched by the love of God. And I was humbled because I know it's not my talent, it's not my capacities, but it's really the love of God through His Word, through Jesus, that was being communicated, and that was what he saw. Not really me, but the love of God. And so I was humbled. But because I was humbled and not flattered, I also saw in him the love of God being communicated to me. For who am I to deserve such a visit and kind words from a total stranger who does not even share my faith? It must be God. He will not earn anything from me. He does not gain anything from me. But why does he come? He comes as God's love also for me. So how beautiful, even for two strangers who do not know each other, both open in their own feeble way to God's love in Jesus and His Word, love can circulate. And when we talked, we felt like real friends, long-lost friends, even for a few minutes. This is the power of love from God through us, through the heart of Christ being poured through us. The Word has been exposed. Let us now fulfill it.